A very good afternoon to all of you. मैं रजनीश जैन, सेक्रेटरी यूजीसी, एमएचआरडी और यूजीसी के बिहाफ पे आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं। प्रातःकाल के उद्घाटन सत्र के पश्चात हमारा अब ये पहला टेक्निकल सेशन शुरू होगा, जिसका थीम है होलिस्टिक, मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी एंड फ्यूचरिस्टिक एजुकेशन। इस सत्र को प्रोफेसर धीरेन्द्र पाल सिंह, विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग के अध्यक्ष, इसका चेयर करेंगे और इसमें जो 3 स्पीकर्स होंगे उनमें हमारे ड्राफ्ट एनईपी कमेटी के सदस्य प्रोफेसर एमके श्रीधर, जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया की वाइस चांसलर प्रोफेसर नजमा अख्तर, इंग्लिश एंड फॉरेन लैंग्वेज यूनिवर्सिटी के प्रोफेसर ई सुरेश कुमार हमें इसमें ज्वाइन करेंगे। आप सभी का मैं स्वागत करता हूं। किसी परिचय की आवश्यकता नहीं है, मगर फिर भी मैं बहुत ही संक्षिप्त रूप में उनका परिचय देना चाहूंगा। प्रोफेसर डीपी सिंह साहब का लगभग 35 वर्षों का प्रोफेशनल एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, जहां उन्होंने एजुकेशनल प्लानिंग, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, इंस्टीट्यूशन बिल्डिंग, टीचर ट्रेनिंग, रिसर्च डेवलपमेंट, इंटरनेशनल कोऑपरेशन एरिया में काम किया है। इसके पहले आपने नैक में डायरेक्टर के पद पे काफी कंट्रीब्यूशन किया है। आप इसके साथ साथ 3 विश्वविद्यालयों के भी कुलपति रहे हैं, जिसमें बनारस हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय वाराणसी, डॉक्टर हरि सिंह गौर विश्वविद्यालय सागर और देवी अहिल्या विश्वविद्यालय इंदौर शामिल है। आपने इन्वायरमेंटल साइंस, वोकेशनल एजुकेशन, ह्यूमन वैल्यूज एजुकेशन के एरिया में बहुत ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूट किया है। आपका बहुत सिग्निफिकेंट योगदान है। तो आज के इस प्रथम टेक्निकल सेशन को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए मैं बहुत ही विनम्रता पूर्वक आपसे अनुरोध करता हूं कि सेशन को बढ़ाएं।
Thank you, Professor Rajneesh Jain, Secretary, University Grants Commission. Friends, we had a very important session. That was the inaugural session, where we were guided by the Honorable Prime Minister of India regarding the new education policy. Now we have this first session, which is on holistic, multidisciplinary and futuristic education. All of you are aware that this policy emphasizes on these aspects. And when we talk of holistic in terms of the various dimensions of the education, when we talk of the holistic development of the learners, that includes about the various dimensions of the personality of the learners, whether it is physical, whether it is mental, whether it is intellectual, whether it is psychological, whether it is emotional, or even spiritual development. That covers the holistic aspects of the education and holistic development of the personality of the learners. Similarly, the session also will be deliberating on multidisciplinary aspects which are there in the policy, and number of such formulations are there which will be guided through the history of the higher education in future. And there are a number of things which will be evolving and which can be termed as the futuristic higher education. Number of such initiatives have been suggested. And I feel that the policy covers all the aspects of all the pillars which were suggested by the International Commission on Education for 21st Century of UNESCO, learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and also learning to be. And in this context, we have 3 distinguished speakers to speak on these aspects. And first speaker is Professor M.K. Sridhar, who was member of the committee for draft NEP. Professor Sridhar is basically has been the professor of management, and he was director and dean at Canara Bank School of Management Studies, Bangalore University. He also served as the member secretary of Karnataka Knowledge Commission. He was conferred with Karnataka Rajyotsava Award by Government of Karnataka, and General President Gold Medal by Indian Science Congress Association. He is also nominated as member of the All India Board of Management Studies, AICT, and Executive Council of Central University of Gujarat. He is also the honorary president currently of Center for Educational and Social Studies, Bengaluru. With these introductory words about him, he is passionate, he is compassionate also, and he is a dedicated educationist. I request Sir M.K. Sridhar to speak on these aspects, and particularly what is there in the policy related to the holistic, multidisciplinary and futuristic education. Professor Sridhar, please.
सब लोगों को नमस्कार. Thank you, Professor D.P. Singh ji, Professor Rajneesh Jain, Secretary, and my co-panelists, Professor Najma Akhtar, Professor Suresh Kumar, and my colleague in the committee, valuable colleague in the committee, Professor Manjul Bhargav, people who are participating from different institutions from all over the country, and fraternity friends. Namaskar. I think in the inaugural session, I think a solid foundation was laid on the national education policy. I personally thought, being an insider of this committee, for having seen entire process evolving up to the point of the Union Cabinet giving its nod on 29 July, I personally felt, let me give to you an eye view, a bird's eye view of the policy journey, and I request my colleagues, the other two speakers, to focus on the theme. See, when all of us are talking about something called as National Education Policy 2020, all of us are focusing on what is this policy, what are the contents of this policy, and how to implement. That's very, very important. Being a student of management, I personally feel we're all very much enamored by the product, that is the policy. At the same time, I would like to focus on, if this product has come, the product would not have come just like that. So I would like to share few things about how it went about. So basically, I would like to share with you the journey of National Education Policy 2020. Because I remember Professor J.P. Nayak, after coming out with a policy, he wrote a book on the making of the policy, how the policy was made, and that will be very critical and important. What I feel is, whenever we think of a policy like this, it has to be based on the past of our civilization, past of educational scenario. And then we must stand on the present, challenges of society, how education is, what are the challenges, and finally, we need to focus on the future. That is our vision. So therefore, any policy, including National Education Policy of 2020, kept and considered the past, stood on the present, and aiming for future, and that is what is clearly brought out by our Honorable Prime Minister. Friends, what I feel is, in the making of the policy, first we took up what work has gone in India and other parts of the world. For example, we looked into the reports, studies, the literature, the data analysis, the previous policies, all that we looked into, and then we went into policies and policy making of different countries of the world. This gave us a very solid base on which we need to start. Then what we did is, what the policy did is, I'm not saying what we mean, I'm talking all those who are involved in the policy. See, very, very important thing in any policy making is the data, numbers, all that is fine. But behind all this, what is extremely crucial are the aspirations of the people. I remember a day when I went to Bhubaneswar, I saw a 3-year girl moving around in the auditorium where we are having the session. Then I said, actually, this seminar or this policy is not for every one of us. It is for that 3-year girl who is going to grow up and make the education. So therefore, connect and catching the aspirations of the people. 2 committees, TSR Subramanian Committee and Dr. Kasturangan Committee, drafting was done and lot of internal vetting happened. I would like to share with you, there was a huge consultation that was done. The consultation was bottom-up approach, participative, inclusive, multidimensional with all the stakeholders. I would like to share with you some of the very critical statistics with regard to quantitative consultation. 1,10,623 villages have been reached. 3,250 blocks, 962 urban local bodies from 406 districts, 29 states, 31 ministries, and 76 members of parliament. And if you take the total duration, the entire process started on 26th January 2015. And if we calculate from 26th January to 29th of July, 5.5 years, 66 months, 1,980 days, and 47,525 hours have gone. And if you multiply that with the number of people, you imagine. At the same time, I would like to point out 1,79,000 suggestions were received. All put together, 1,79,000 suggestions. And do you know the number of pages? We physically saw the volumes. 70,625 pages were printed to look into the suggestions. That speaks of the humongous task involved. And we consulted everybody, like institutions, civil society, all that. All of us are aware. At the same time, if I give you the NEP journey in a nutshell, 26 January 15 to October 15, there are grassroots level consultations. Then TSR Subramanian Committee came. Then Dr. Kasturi Rangan Committee came. Finally, it was frozen on 29 July. What I would like to leave is the entire vision of the policy. It has to be rooted in Indian ethos. That's a very, very important thing. And we are trying to build a vibrant and equitable knowledge society. And the various principles, like many people have said. So friends, the point I would like to bring to all of you is, this policy has put in tremendous effort, and because of the hearts and souls of so many lakhs and lakhs of people have contributed in making of this policy. Therefore, we are trying to see the new India which is going to come in the next 20 years through this policy. No doubt the policy is ready. Now, I think we need to look towards implementation, and that is where they will let us join our hands as well as hearts to realize the vision of the policy. Namaskar.
Thank you, Professor Sridhar, for highlighting the journey of the new education policy and its various highlights and focuses of different aspects and dimensions. Now, I would request Professor Najma Akhtar, she is Vice Chancellor of Jamia Millia Islamia University, and she was professor and head of the Department of Capacity Building in Education, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, that is NIPA. She was also founder director, State Institute of Educational Management and Training, UP. She led international consultancy programs supported by DENIDA, UNFA, FPA, UNICEF, including the prestigious NIPA Nepal project. With these words, I request Professor Najma Akhtar to share her views on the aspects related to the theme of this session: holistic, multidisciplinary, and futuristic education. Professor Najma Akhtar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Respected Professor D.P. Singh ji, Professor Sridhar, and Professor E. Suresh Kumar, my Secretary Higher Education, Shri Amit Khare Saab, and all my colleagues from different universities and institutions. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to Professor D.P. Singh Sahab for inviting me to participate in this cerebral discussion as a speaker. The National Education Policy is indeed a milestone in the history of education policy making in India. The policy is holistic, historic, not only because it has come after 34 years after the 1986 policy, but also because it aims at bringing in the much needed overhaul of the Indian education system, thus ushering in a new era in education. There were reasons why a new policy was needed. Our education system was slowly moving towards insensitivity towards local needs and social relevance. There was a complete separation between hands-on experience and minds-on experience. And often there was an attitude to consider the hands-on experience as a lower repute. And furthermore, the bracketed super specialization often made a person insensitive and incapable of handling immediate needs and situational compulsions. And this led to the country to desire that a more holistic, forward-looking, and need-based policy that can address not only the present need of the Indian society, but also fulfills the needs and aspiration of the younger generation of our country. In this light, we should look at the National Education Policy 2020, which is actually groundbreaking. It is worth discussing, and I'm so happy that this is being done at bigger levels here. This policy has been much debated and discussed by academicians and concerned citizens across the country. And an overwhelming majority of them have hailed this uh, as a policy, as an ambitious and progressive policy. So, as a person who has been working in the field of higher education since for last several decades, what strikes me most is that this policy uh, is about its forward-looking vision. As our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister in the morning said, it is future ready. And its emphasis on learning non-fragmentary and its focus on removing intellectual isolation of disciplines. By being different disciplines, by bringing the different disciplines together. Let's talk about the multidisciplinary aspect of this education. Actually, it's just by chance, but it has happened with that when National Education Policy 2020 was being developed, no one had any idea that in this year, 2020, the world will be grappling with an impossible and dangerous pandemic like COVID-19. The advent of this menace has literally opened all fault lines of the pre-pandemic way of thinking, learning, working, and living. We know that the post-pandemic world is going to be very different from the pre-pandemic world, and it's really literally going to redefine every sphere of human life. This requires bringing together of all human capabilities represented in form of various disciplinary knowledges and practices, and therefore this new policy which has come up has been introduced at a very appropriate time where its multidisciplinary status and its intent will be practiced and uh, tested right now. Friends, we know that the 21st century we have entered is with exponential growth of knowledge. New disciplines have emerged, and this disciplinary knowledge has made the demarcation between the existing disciplines blurred. And many new problems and challenges have emerged which require a multidisciplinary approach to resolve and to tackle them. The Education Policy 2020 has taken care of all this in a very holistic way, as it aims in developing all capabilities of human beings together: intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral, developing a student with complete rounded personality, ready for the 21st century challenges. And as our Prime Minister had said in the morning, a complete Indian personality with high values of our country. In the knowledge landscape, the world is undergoing rapid changes, which are predominantly scientific and technological in nature. With the rise of big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and demand of STEM subjects, this this integrated with the humanities and arts, new forms of work will emerge, which will require learners to be equipped with new combinations of knowledge and skills instead of separate science and humanities. They have to be merged together to make a person able to take the challenges. With our young but a large size population in India, we move towards a developed country and one among three largest economies in the world. This is what we are dreaming and what we'll achieve definitely, as there will be a great demand of individuals in the field of humanities as well as art, for not only science but everything mixed. All this requires a redefining of teaching and learning and the ability to view reality through a multidisciplinary lens and make connections between different knowledges formations. The Education Policy 2020 has much needed emphasis on multidisciplinary teaching of the university. Graduates here develop so that the graduates here develop a contractual thinking required to live and work in 21st century. Hopefully, this focus on multidisciplinary education will give the students an opportunity to learn how to think critically, and how to solve problems, and how to be creative, and how to innovate, adapt, absorb, and absorb new materials in novel and changing fields. I have high hopes that this multidisciplinary policy will do wonders for the country. Talking about the holistic education, policy is very inclusive in its outlook, in the sense that it aims at developing a first rate education system by 2035. It has given deadlines so that our pace of work and the direction of work is well defined. This aims at equitable access to the highest quality of education for all learners, regardless of social and economic background. The Education Policy 2020 stresses on that a student be trained to develop connections with communities outside the campus and learn to live together and have mutual cooperation, oneness, and unity. It also it pays emphasis on development of not only of IQ but of EQ, which is needed to be successful. Develop a healthy mind in a healthy body and seeks to cultivate minds, both character and to handle responsible freedom. That is also the aim of this policy. I feel that this policy is very holistic in at least two important areas. There are many others. I'm just concentrating on two. First is the vision of the education policy. A vision of the education envisaged by the policy relates to complete system of education in India. The policy is interconnected and holistic as it seeks to bring synergy in curriculum across all levels of education, from early childhood care to school education and to higher education. There's also a seamless transition between these, making it possible for students to go up in uh, their education in up to the level that they want and whether it's possible for them to go. The second one is that the policy emphasizes on no hard separations between art and science, between curriculum and extracurricular activities, between vocation and academic streams, in order to eliminate higher harmful hierarchies between different areas of learning, which are very much visible even nowadays. So I have great hope that in the coming years this will be uh, diminishing. One important area is vocational education. It is integrated in the mainstream education, and the policy clearly directs that every student from school education to higher education must develop mastery over at least one vocation. The policy fundamental principle is of providing flexibility to the learners to choose their learning trajectories and programs. And holism, these are testimonies for the holism of knowledge and learning that this policy seeks to bring in. As our Prime Minister in the morning said, follow your passion. This is the idea behind this policy. Leave in between and re-enter whenever it's possible for you. The multiple entry and exits makes it very comfortable for those who are not able to complete their education, and always also for those who find that their education is complete in technical terms, but what he needs is something more, and he is welcome to come back and join the university after a difference of time. Into the futuristic part of this policy, the policy is future oriented, and the most important is that the vision of liberal education at undergraduate level is suitable for the present needs and is very much suitable for the futuristic scope. This policy reconstructs the undergraduate education program to include arts, humanities, maths, science, and a deeper study of a special area of interest depending on the student. The outcome of such liberal undergraduate education program for a country like India will increase critical thinking abilities, higher order thinking and deep learning, mastery of content, problem solving, teamwork, and communication skills, equipping students with skills to navigate their way into the future, where there'll be a variety of employment scenarios. The revamping of higher education regulatory framework with a one window approach focuses on supporting outstanding researchers in the country, which echoes with the Prime Minister's slogan of Jai Anusandhan, and the encouragement and facilitation of true philanthropic, private, and community participation for developing a vibrant public education system. As futuristic measures have been taken by this policy in bringing out all these what were very much needed in India. I'm happy that the policy, which has been made with a lot of care and with a lot of efforts, as just described by my colleague here, this policy has taken care of almost all pertinent issues. And I hope that once implemented well and with care, this policy is going to usher in a truly new era of education in India. And I wish we'll help, we all will be part of the implementation group and bring a new era for our young population of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Najma Akhtar. Now I request Professor E. Suresh Kumar, Vice Chancellor, IFLU, Hyderabad, who is our next speaker. Professor Suresh Kumar is currently Vice Chancellor, IFLU, but before that he has served as Registrar of Osmania University and also as Professor of English, Director, etc., etc. I request him to start his deliberations. Professor Suresh Kumar.
Honorable Chairman, University Grants Commission and the Chair of today's first session, Professor D.P. Singh ji, esteemed member of the Committee for Draft NEP, Professor M.K. Sridhar ji, Vice Chancellor Jamia Millia Islamia, Professor Najma Akhtar ji, Professor Rajneesh Jain ji, Secretary UGC, distinguished academic administrators, Vice Chancellors, Directors, Principals, faculty members, students, invitees, press, media, ladies and gentlemen, namaskar to you all. At the outset, I would like to congratulate Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, for his visionary leadership and for bringing out the National Education Policy 2020. I also congratulate Honorable Union Minister of HRD, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank ji, Chairman UGC, Professor D.P. Singh ji, Chairman of NEP 2020, Dr. Kastur Rangan ji, and members of the draft committee for their visionary outlook in framing India's new education policy. The National Education Policy 2020 is designed to help India take off into a new and glorious future as a world player in every field: economic, social, political, and strategic. Before I share my views on NEP 2020, I would like to throw some light on the present scenario. I'm not talking about IITs or IIMs or some of the fortunate institutions at the undergraduate level. I would like to focus on some of the colleges which are unfortunate. So far, the education system has been focusing on theoretical knowledge with lesser emphasis on skills. A lot of emphasis is laid on rote learning and scoring more marks. Honing of skills has taken a backseat. I'm sorry to use the expression, in some of the +2 colleges or intermediate colleges, they have turned to become air-conditioned poultry farms. In this context, I want to share an anecdote with you all. A few years ago, a friend of mine was riding on his scooter. The scooter stopped midway. He is an MTech PhD in automobile engineering. He published several articles and books on automobile engineering. Being a competent person in terms of knowledge, he tried to repair his scooter. He tried to open the lid, check if there was some problem with the spark plug, whether there was some problem with the connections. He tried his best, but the scooter didn't start. Then took out his mobile and called the mechanic. After some time, an illiterate small young boy reached the place. And this man said, I'm an MTech PhD, I couldn't repair it. You're an illiterate boy, what can you do? Then that boy said, sir, please give me an option. Let me try once. He just made an attempt with one kickstart. With one kickstart, he said, sir, there is no petrol in your scooter. From one kickstart, whatever the sound and smell came out, he could diagnose that there was no petrol in the scooter. Whereas this highly knowledgeable person couldn't diagnose that there was no petrol. What this highly qualified person has vast knowledge. What this illiterate boy has skill. The present new education policy will certainly ensure that the future students will have both knowledge and skills. I'm happy to note that the new education policy has addressed all such problems arising out of a theory-focused education. As you are aware, some of the students are pursuing one course after the other with no proper goal. Should we be happy that India is a country with a majority of the population who are young and below 20 years of age? Or should we be unhappy that some of them are unemployable in spite of the fact that they have degrees with a first class or sometimes a distinction. Youth should become a strength to the country and not a burden. Sometimes students with degrees such as MTechs, MEds, MBS are forced to apply for the post of a police constable. I'm not undermining the post of a constable, but I'm only trying to say that the post doesn't require MBA or MEd or MTech. Even if they get selected, they may not adjust well since their superior may be only a graduate. And they certainly do not have the frame of mind to be a constable, which also requires certain specific skills. In this context, I can confidently make a statement that the products of the NEP 2020 will not be required to face such a situation. As of now, not many multidisciplinary programs are available at the higher education level. I'm glad that NEP 2020 has laid emphasis on multidisciplinary education. It integrated humanities and arts with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which result in developing higher order thinking capacities, problem solving abilities, teamwork, communication skills, soft skills, and so on. Importantly, it will create the time and the opportunity for young learners to discover their true talents and pursue them. I want to share one recent experience. I happened to accompany a friend of mine to a hospital. The doctor was a super specialist. I was told that he's a great doctor and all that. When we went to the doctor's communication was very poor. Maybe he was a great doctor, but his communication was very poor. The first sentence, after seeing the patient, he said, not more than 2 days, which means the patient would die. In fact, that person is hale and healthy even now. But the doctor said, I would like to be frank with you. I would like to be open with you. Just because doctor is great, it's not enough if he doesn't know how to communicate well. The present education policy, the new education policy, is going to address this problem in a systematic way. I know a professor of linguistics who is working as the director of the Danish Institute of Humanities and Medicine in Denmark. He specializes in doctor-patient communication, which is popularly known as health communication. NEP 2020 will give a lot of scope for such introductory programs in India. There is abundant flexibility offered to the students by the NEP. This will create many job opportunities for multidisciplinary combinations such as computer science and archaeology, which is called virtual archaeology. I happened to visit University of Warwick a few years ago. I met a professor who was specialized in computer science and archaeology. Usually, in Indian situation, a professor of archaeology and a professor of computer science may not really work together in academics. Maybe they would be friends outside, but not in the laboratory. But that professor has proved that interdisciplinary research is possible, and he received many projects from Hollywood movies, which run into crores of rupees in the Indian currency. There are possibilities with combination of humanities and mathematics, computer science and Japanese language. If a computer science engineer learns Japanese language, he is readily employable in Japan and also in the companies established by Japan in India. There is a combination of automobile engineering with German language. They may not be available in the present situation. One can't learn German language and automobile engineering at the same place. But through new education policy, these are possible. They have great job opportunities. I'm not trying to list out multidisciplinary courses. I'm only trying to say that there are so many such possibilities through the new education policy. NEP 2020 aims at developing all capacities of human beings, such as intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral in an integrated manner through multidisciplinary education. Great initiatives such as Make in India, Digital India, Skill India, and Startup India have been initiated with an aim to produce entrepreneurs and increase job opportunities. In the absence of a well-defined education policy, these novel nation building missions would face the scarcity of talented pool of qualified professionals. NEP 2020, with its focus on multidisciplinary education, will create a balanced personality. To attain the highest global standards in quality multidisciplinary education, the government is going to set up multidisciplinary education and research universities on par with IITs and IIMs. This futuristic plan will help in placing Indian universities among the world's best universities in the years to come. This is the right decision at the right time. There is more on the offer. There will be more focus on disciplinary research and innovation through startup incubation centers, technology development centers, centers in the frontier areas of research to promote innovation among student communities. The students have to utilize this great opportunity to the best of their abilities. These initiatives will help the students in general and the country in particular. The new national education policy will provide a liberal but specialized, regular but customized innovations from primary to higher education by incorporating research components at both levels. One of the beautiful features of NEP 2020 is the use of regional languages as a medium of instruction up to 5th class, which is extendable up to the 8th class. Since India is a multilingual country, a majority of Indians are multilinguals, and their brains have greater cognitive flexibility, unlike other nationals who are monolingual by and large. This cognitive flexibility will be an added advantage for students to pursue multidisciplinary education. I happened to attend one international conference in the United States of America at a place called Hawaii. It's a beautiful place for sightseeing. The registration fee for the international conference was $125. I gave him 2 notes of $100. He was supposed to return $75. Any one of you can just simply tell me. But that person returned $250 to me. When I paid $200 to him, he returned $250 to me. I asked him, I am supposed to get only $75. Then he said, no. He tried to calculate using a calculator. He called his friend. There was a debate for 2 to 3 minutes between two of them. And finally, he returned my $75. If it is in the Indian situation, it's very simple. Anyone can simply tell you if you give 200, they can return 75 just like that. After the conference was over, out of curiosity, I interacted with that person. He told me that he was a monolingual. He can speak only one language. Whereas in India, as you're aware, most of us can speak 2 or 3 languages fluently. In this context, I would like to share that Multi-Leela, a 4-year longitudinal project led by Professor Yanti Simply of the University of Cambridge, in collaboration with my university, that is the English and Foreign Language University, British Council, University of Reading, and a few other Indian institutions, came up with interesting findings. The children who learn through a medium of instruction that is same as the home language will perform better in numeracy and cognitive tasks. You must have seen many people, they just calculate things and it's on their fingertips. They can simply give any calculation just like that. NEP 2020 has done a right thing by making regional language education compulsory at the school level. With a little support, I'm sure many Indian youth can be converted from job seekers to job providers. To conclude, I can say confidently that NEP 2020 is the right prescription for human development, sustainable progress of the Indian society. Finally, I congratulate the Minister of HRD and the UGC for organizing the conclave on transformational reforms in higher education under National Education Policy 2020. I take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Union HRD Minister, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank ji, Secretary Higher Education, Shri Amit Khare ji, and Chairman of the UGC, Professor D.P. Singh ji, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Suresh Kumar, for your valuable contributions and thoughts on holistic, multidisciplinary, and futuristic education. Now we will have some observations from the distinguished participants who are there and participating in this conclave.
Sir, most respected
Professor,
Professor D.P. Singh Sahab. Honorable Chairman, University Grants Commission, who happened to be my boss in BHU, was Vice Chancellor there. I got the pleasure of working under him. Honorable Secretary UGC, I can see Professor Sridhar, who happens to be from my subject only, Professor Nazma Akhtar Madam, Professor Suresh Kumar ji from IFLU, my fellow colleagues from all across the country, and dear friends. It's a great pleasure to extend my greetings on the centennial year of University of Lucknow. So on behalf of University of Lucknow, and on my personal behalf, I extend my heartfelt greetings to all of you. And this is a wonderful occasion when University of Lucknow is receiving this new education policy after 34 years. Interestingly, this has been in the 100th year of the existence of this very university. I was asked to extend my observations on the policy. I term it as the life. It stands for the life coaching approach and orientation of this new education policy. I would like to borrow the line stated by our Honorable Prime Minister, who said this education policy actually takes our people from Manushya se Manavata or Atita se Adhunikta. So this is the life coaching learning that this new education policy intends to deliver onto these students of the country. Second is, and very interesting and probably the most important aspect that I find in this new education policy is an attempt towards internationalization of Indian education. It's an important, so very important, especially at a time when Indian education aims at catering to the needs of international students and prepare itself to play a wider role. So our Indian political establishment has certainly been playing a very, very proactive and a big role at the global landscape. So our Indian education through this new education policy is also preparing ourselves for that. And I can tell you with a lot of pride and confidence that during Corona time, when at University of Lucknow, we shifted to online education without much of a prior preparation. We based our content under open access model and national students also access the contents prepared by the very esteemed colleagues from this University of Lucknow, which was placed under open access model. So we certainly have enormous potential, which only needs to be leveraged, and this new education policy provides an appropriate scene for that. Third, LIF, that's F is very, very important aspect, and that is flexibility. This flexibility, which is exhibited in variety of forums, especially as credit system, credit transfer system, and it also proposes academic bank credit model. I am again so very happy to tell the august audience that University of Lucknow in its academic council meeting, we are going to start this pure academic credit system, academic model along with credit transfer scheme, not just interdepartmental, but also intradepartmental, which provides enough flexibility of, say, engineering students getting exposed to fine arts, and a science student studying economics and literature at the same time. Fourth, LIF, fourth is E. Now this E, which was grossly missing under our education system, was employability of our people. So this employment enhancing ability of this new education policy has been duly addressed with, which was needed the hour. Lot of stuff. So that is, I believe, very, very important aspect that has been duly attended with in this new education policy. And last but not the least, that is F. So LIFE, this completes the life's orientation. This S is that it talks about moving beyond the structural change that this new education policy talks about is let these state universities at least move beyond the role of playing just an examination board. Let them enroll students, let them teach students, let them proceed into research activities and move beyond the role of only acting as an examination board. And this is very, very important, and so very important that almost 95% of students come from the purview of these state universities. I'm a professor of a central university, I'm a vice chancellor of a state university, and I can say that I've got certain exposure of both the systems. I can say that almost 95% of students, total students, fall within the purview of these state universities. So they certainly have got to move beyond the role of playing only to the examination boards. I'm so very happy to see that when we say that education without application is meaningless, this new education policy is certainly an attempt towards that. So these were my observations, and I believe we'll get some more insight in the times to come. That is the sessions of this program. Thank you very much, sir, for providing me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Alok Rai, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Lucknow University, and प्रोफेसर सुषमा यादव जी ने शुरुआत की थी. मैं उनसे निवेदन करूंगा कि वो भी अपने विचार व्यक्त करें.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Time is there and we will have only one observation of Professor Sushma Rao, then we will close this session. Yes, ma'am.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय. ये अवसर देने के लिए धन्यवाद. सबसे पहले मैं बधाई देना चाहती हूँ कि आपने आज ये पूरे दिन का कनक्लेव, जिसमें माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हम सबको अपने विचार बताए हैं, इसका आयोजन किया. यूजीसी को बधाई, और इसके अध्यक्ष आप श्री डीपी सिंह जी और सचिव रजनीश जैन जी, दोनों को बधाई, क्योंकि इससे पूरे देश भर के शिक्षाविद, विद्वज्जन आज आपके विचार भी जान सकेंगे, प्रधानमंत्री जी के विचार जान सके, और हमारे कवि हृदय और भावुकता पूर्ण परंतु माननीय शिक्षा मंत्री, अब मैं एचआरडी मिनिस्टर नहीं कह रही हूँ, शिक्षा मंत्री जी के विचार भी हम जान सके. मैं समझती हूँ पहली बार भारत को एक राष्ट्रीय ही नीति नहीं मिली है, एक भारतीय शिक्षा नीति मिली, जिसमें भारत का हृदय भी है, भारत का मस्तिष्क भी है, और इसीलिए ये होलिस्टिक है. और जो होलिस्टिक शिक्षा होती है वो सभी विषयों को साथ लेकर चलती है. हम ये देख रहे हैं कि कोई इंजीनियर भी बहुत अच्छा कवि हो सकता है, बहुत से इंजीनियर्स के अंदर कविता मर जाती है, बहुत से डॉक्टर्स के अंदर कविता मर जाती है. ये शिक्षा नीति उन सबको साथ लेकर चल पाएगी और उन्हें अवसर भी देगी कि जीवन में जब चाहें वो अपने पैशन को, जिसकी बात अभी माननीय यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने की, कि पैशन भी होना हमारा आवश्यक है. जो काम हम पैशन से करते हैं वो हम हमेशा अधिक अच्छा कर पाते हैं. तो एम्पावरमेंट भी है, ऑटोनॉमी भी है, कंपैशन भी है और पैशन भी है, लेकिन कंपल्शन भी हम छोड़ नहीं रहे हैं, क्योंकि रेगुलेशन भी इसका बना रहना चाहिए, ये भी आवश्यक है. मैं समझती हूँ ये शिक्षा नीति होलिस्टिक इस रूप में भी है कि ये समावेशी भी है. आपने ये ध्यान रखा है कि बालक बालिका समावेशी कोष का एक प्रावधान इस शिक्षा नीति में है. विशेष शिक्षा जोन्स की बात की गई है. उन 64 कलाओं को याद किया गया है जिन्होंने तक्षशिला और नालंदा को महान बनाया था. और नृत्य, संगीत, कला, प्रौद्योगिकी, मेडिसिन, जितने आधुनिक विषय अब आए हैं और जितने प्राचीनतम विषय भी हैं, और जिस प्रकार से एक समग्र मानव का निर्माण होता है, ये शिक्षा नीति उस तरफ संकेत करती है. बोलने को हम सब बहुत देर तक बोल सकते हैं, परंतु मैं जानती हूँ आपका अध्यक्षीय उद्बोधन भी होना है. मैं अब इस शिक्षा नीति का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
यूजीसी का प्लेटफॉर्म है
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर सुषमा यादव जी. आप तो हमारे विश्वविद्यालय अनुदान आयोग की माननीय सदस्य भी रही हैं और बहुत सहयोग रहा है आपका इस पूरी प्रक्रिया में. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. मैं सभी ऑनरेबल स्पीकर्स को भी धन्यवाद देता हूं, आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. उन्होंने इस सत्र में हमारा सहयोग किया, हमारा मार्गदर्शन दिया. और अभी जैसे प्रोफेसर सुषमा यादव जी कह रही थी और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी कहा, ग्लोबल सिटीजन्स की उन्होंने बात की, विश्व मानव की. ये पहलू इसमें आया है नई शिक्षा नीति में कि वी हैव टू डेवलप ग्लोबल सिटीजन्स, जिनका की ग्लोबल कंसर्न हो, जिनकी की विजन ग्लोबल हो. और वैसे भी यूनाइटेड नेशंस तो कहता है कि थिंक ग्लोबली, एक्ट लोकली, तो वो भी हमें ध्यान रखना है. लेकिन एक महत्वपूर्ण बात उन्होंने कही कि अपनी जड़ों से जुड़ाव रखें. इट मीन्स कि हमारा जुड़ाव किससे रहे, हमारी पृष्ठभूमि से रहे, हमारा परिवेश से रहे, हमारी सांस्कृतिक विरासत से रहे, हमारी भाषाओं से रहे, हमारी परंपराओं से रहे, और हमारी जो सामाजिक संस्कृति है, हमारी जो कंपोजिट कल्चर है, फॉर विच दिस कंट्री इज नोन, सत्य के लिए, सदाचरण के लिए, अहिंसा के लिए, प्रेम के लिए, शांति के लिए ये देश जाना जाता है, विश्व बंधुत्व के लिए जाना जाता है। तो भारतीय मूल जो हमारे शाश्वत जीवन मूल्य हैं उनको धारण करते हुए एक श्रेष्ठ भारतीय नागरिक रहते हुए हम विश्व मानव कैसे हो सकते हैं, विश्व कल्याण की बातें कैसे सोच सकते हैं, इस पर भी इस पॉलिसी में बहुत ध्यान दिया गया है और इसलिए ये फ्यूचरिस्टिक एजुकेशन है को बहुत बढ़ावा देती है। मैं समझता हूँ कि नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020 इज अलाइन्ड टू द 2030 एजेंडा for sustainable development and aims to transform India into a vibrant knowledge society and global knowledge superpower by making both school and higher education more holistic, more flexible, multidisciplinary, and aimed at bringing out the unique capabilities of each learner. The main thrust of this policy, besides other is related to higher education, is to transform the higher education institutions into large multidisciplinary universities, colleges, and HI clusters, knowledge hubs, each of which will aim to have 3,000 or more students. That has been envisaged. Another aspect which has been very much highlighted is about having model public universities for holistic and multidisciplinary education at par with IITs, IIMs, etc., and which will be known as MERU. That means multidisciplinary education and research universities, and they will be set up. And there is a time frame for it, and during that period, in each district, these universities will be there. Not only that, the policy also talks about that standalone agriculture universities, legal universities, health science universities, technical universities, and other standalone institutions in other fields will aim to become multidisciplinary education centers. All institutions offering either professional or general education will also aim to organically evolve into institutions or clusters offering both seamlessly and in an integrated manner by 2030. More higher education institutions in underserved regions will be established to ensure full access, equity, and inclusion. So on one side, the policy highlights on multidisciplinary, holistic education, also on professional, technical, and vocational education. It also highlights on equity and inclusion. And there shall by 2030 be at least one large multidisciplinary higher education institution in or near every district. The aim will be to increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education, from current 26.3% to 50% by 2035. So to conclude, I would like to state that National Education Policy 2020 aims to transform India's higher education system with emphasis on attaining global standards of learning while maintaining the ethos of Indian values and culture, of which our honorable all three speakers, including Professor M.K. Sridhar, have focused on, and including the observations from the Honorable Vice Chancellors. And with these transformation in higher education system, India is ready to take a giant leap towards establishing itself as a knowledge superpower. जब होलिस्टिक एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं तो मुझे लगता है कि मुझे काशी हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय BHU के संस्थापक भारत रत्न पंडित मदन मोहन मालवीय जी, महामना जी का कुछ कथन याद आते हैं और उन्होंने हमेशा इस पे जोर दिया कि जिस तरह से हम ब्रेन पावर को डेवलप करने के लिए कोशिश करते हैं हमारे हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट, सेम मैग्नीट्यूड के साथ हमें हार्ड पावर को डेवलप करने की भी कोशिश करनी चाहिए। जो विश्वविद्यालय या जो संस्थान यह कार्य नहीं करता है, डेवलपिंग बोथ मेंटल पावर एंड हेड पावर एंड दी हार्ड पावर, तो वो अपना काम पूरा नहीं कर रहा है। और वो जो समग्र शिक्षा की बात करते थे तो उनका एक कथन बड़ा बहुत अच्छा मुझे लगता है, मैं उसको दोहराना चाहता हूँ समापन के सत्र के समापन के समय पे, और वो होलिस्टिक एजुकेशन को लेकर के है। और वो विद्यार्थियों को उपदेश देते हुए कहते थे कि दूध पियो कसरत करो, दूध पियो कसरत करो, नित्य जपो हरि नाम, मन लगाए विद्या पढ़ो, पूरेंगे सब काम। मुझे लगता है कि जो पर्सनैलिटी के सभी हमारे डायमेंशंस हैं डेवलपमेंट के, वो सब इसमें आ जाते हैं। समग्र शिक्षा और विद्यार्थियों के व्यक्तित्व का सर्वांगीण विकास, तो इस सब पर हमको जोर देने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए। मुझे बहुत प्रसन्नता है और मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूं अपने तीनों स्पीकर्स को इस सत्र में सहयोग के लिए, और दोनों हमारे जिन्होंने ऑब्जर्वेशंस प्रेजेंट की हैं उन दोनों वाइस चांसलर्स के लिए। और इसके साथ हम इस सत्र का समापन करते हैं। अगला सत्र हम 2 बजे शुरू करेंगे, जो कि रिसर्च पे फोकस्ड होगा, कैटलाइजिंग क्वालिटी रिसर्च, और जिसको चेयर करेंगे हमारे प्रिंसिपल साइंटिफिक एडवाइजर टू दी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया प्रोफेसर के विजय राघवन, और जिसमें वक्ता के रूप में हमारे साथ यूएसए प्रिंसटन यूनिवर्सिटी से जुड़ेंगे प्रोफेसर मंजुल भार्गव, जो कि ऑनरेबल मेंबर रहे हैं कमेटी टू ड्राफ्ट एनईपी। हमारे यूजीसी के वाइस चेयरमैन प्रोफेसर भूषण पटवर्धन इसमें एक वक्ता होंगे, और फॉर्मर डायरेक्टर आईआईएससी बेंगलुरु प्रोफेसर अनुराग कुमार। तो इसके साथ ही मैं आप सबका धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूं, जो पूरे देश भर से हमारे शिक्षा संस्थान जुड़े हैं, माननीय कुलपतिगण, निदेशकगण, प्राचार्यगण, शिक्षाविद, विद्यार्थी, उन सभी का मैं अभिनंदन करता हूं। और अगले सत्र में फिर आपसे मिलते हैं। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।